welcome back to the channel. Thanks for joining me again. Haven't had a video out in a couple weeks, but I have still been working on the car, so I'm going to give you guys a bunch of updates in today's video. We're also going to fire it up and roll it out of the garage. So where you saw this thing last is we were updating that fuel line system. We put in a full Dash 8 unit. We also added a carb spacer, well, a taller carb spacer. And where we left off, I needed to get new linkage for it because of the additional height. The old linkage wasn't going to work. And I also needed to fire it up to make sure I didn't have any leaks in the system. I think that's pretty much where we left it off. I have actually completed that, plus I've done a few other things. If you're not following me on other social medias, I do have an Instagram account. I'll put the name right here. And we do have a Facebook group. If you're not on Instagram, it's basically the same feed from Instagram, just on Facebook. So Simpsons Speed Shop on Facebook. Check it out and you'll see more updates weekly. Every couple days I'm usually posting something. I'm always messing around down here. You guys know that. So in today's video, let's take a look at some of the upgrades I've done and talk about a couple other things. Now, I am going to fire it up and it is winter, so I will talk to you guys about solid roller cams and keeping up with winter maintenance, because there's a couple options there. So we'll talk about that too after I show you guys these updates. Okay, let's just start where we finished off last time. So we got that Dash 8 plumbed all the way in, got to the top, added our carb spacer, but our ARP hardware was not tall enough on this side because of the thickness of that throttle bracket I have. So I had to buy two kits, but that's fine with me, and those are really nice. I dig that ARP stuff. You guys know ARP, they're the best. There's that Wilson manifold. And so then after I got my bracketry and the carb secured down, I did have to add a new throttle cable because my other one was too short. So that's just a brand new low car setup. I really like them. Some guys seem to not like them too much, but they fit everything. They're nice, they're clean, simple to install, and they work. So that's all done. We're getting wide open throttle now. And then the big thing you guys are gonna notice are the spark plug wires. Okay, so let's talk about these wires. These are the same MSD 8.5 millimeter red wires that I used to have, but I've gone ahead and added the MSD Pro Heat Guard sheathing. It's a heat resistant sheathing you put over your wires, helps protect them, and then will help not have heat affected resistance issues. So this is a Circle Track thing. My Circle Track buddies put me onto this. I think it looks really cool. It makes the wires look a little bit bigger too. So what I did is basically just slide it on over top, and then I got these Moroso heat shrinks to help hold them to all of the terminals down there. And then I got these, I think these are also Moroso heat number shrinks as well to number them all. See that there? And a lot of guys, you put them up at the top, but if you know the order at the top, I like having them down low because as I pull these off to pull plugs out, you never mess them up. You can always see exactly which one's going where. So that's why I always put those numbers down low. Coming to this side here. And then one other thing, Circle Track buddies put me onto this too. I did the David Freiberger zip tie wire looms. First go with this. It's really cool. I dig it, and they're cheap and effective, and it looks good. So I do recommend that. Give that a whirl if you haven't. You can Google it. It's very easy, and it's really nice finish. It's kind of an old school thing too, which I do like. But I think those wires just look killer now. And you might notice too, I actually did shorten them on this side too. Just took the terminals off on the other end, shortened them down. This was an MSD kit that I bought years ago, and they were really long on this side. So I took a few inches out of all of them on that side. Looked at doing this side too, but you kind of need them to go over top of the master cylinder. Otherwise, they kind of run into it, and it doesn't look that great. So I think that's looking pretty good now though. Okay, so the next thing I was looking at was a little bit more engine detailing. Surprise, surprise. In old videos, you'll see my oil pressure line, copper line go up over the wiper motor and then down to the firewall and in. I wanted to delete that, remove it, hide it. So what we did, talked to my Circle Track buddies again, they put me onto this. I used a it's hard to see, there we go. I used a Dash 3 brake line to do it. That's an All-Star Performance, like 26 inches, comes in a set length, 90-degree end. Just had to get a fitting for the block and a fitting for the gauge inside, and then cleans it up so much nicer. A little bit bigger volume too, so it pumps up quicker, which is nice. And you might be like, well, why'd you kind of snake it around that way? I was gonna dive it directly into the firewall, but I didn't want to punch another hole. I had a factory hole over here I wasn't using. So just added a grommet and then kind of looped it around and in. I don't know if it'll stay like that forever, but for right now, it's not bugging me. I think it looks pretty good. It looks better than it did. Hides it off that firewall. So this engine bay is looking pretty good. Okay, and I have done a little bit of maintenance on her as well. I did give her an oil change just a week or so ago before I did that fire up to check that fuel system. And I cut the filter open as I always do. It was super clean inside. I was really happy about that. After that one filter we cut apart about a year and a half ago when it was full of bearings, I'm really happy to see clean filters these days. So I was stoked on that. I do believe those oiling mods we did to this block did help it out. And also we had great oil pressure through that whole race season and stuff. So stoked on that oiling system. I think that problem is nipped in the butt now. Okay, so we'll just talk about another little bit of maintenance that I do over winter because I do run a solid roller cam and lifter combo. So the big thing with those is you do not want to sit them with the valves totally open, all that pressure on that spring for, you know, months at a time as your race car sits over winter. So that's why I do some fire ups throughout winter, of course, and it's just fun. But I do try to fire it up every couple months, and then in the meantime, every month or so, I'll come down and I'll just physically roll the motor over just to make sure that it's not sitting on one spring for any long period of time. That can weaken your valve springs. Now, some guys will go so far as to pull the rockers completely off, back everything off, and then it can sit for months at a time. If the car was going to sit for like 6 months or longer, then I would probably do that myself, and I have done that before. But for me, this isn't a major high lift cam or 620 or so. Rolling it around by hand or just bumping it on the starter even every couple weeks is fine. And then the best thing to do is just fire it up every couple weeks. So we're pretty much ready to do that. Let's fire this thing up and pull it out.
let it get fully up to temperature before I flick the fan on. Really put a good heat cycle through it. full roller motor, so I don't have to worry about wiping off a cam or anything like that. I did actually just adjust that throttle up a little bit. A little bit cold for it, I guess, and it wasn't, I just wanted a little bit more throttle blade opening to stay in a nice clean idle, but look good. I think I ran my mat over in the garage there. Gonna have to move that. What a unit. Okay, we've got some temp in there, so I flicked the fan on. I got a pusher style fan on the front, and that works great for me. A lot of guys say you gotta have them on the other side, but the pushers work good. You can hear the motor now that it's got some heat in it because of that throttle adjustment. It's picked up a little RPM, so it probably knocked down. I think that's just because of the cold weather. It does need a bath though. Okay, so that's going to close out this video, guys. Just a little update for you guys, a little heat cycle, let you guys know we're still making videos, got more stuff coming. I do still want to pull the trans out and get the converter reworked. I want to get it a little bit tighter. I think that's going to help our 60 foot. More on that on the next video. Thanks for watching, guys. We'll see you soon.